Now in its fifth edition, the Antalya Diplomacy Forum 2026, currently underway in Antalya, is hosted by Turkey's Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the auspices of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and it has become a key platform for international dialogue and cooperation. Mapping Tomorrow, Managing Uncertainties is this year's theme, and it is capturing the increasingly complex landscape of global affairs. Global affairs are becoming less predictable and power is shifting, making cooperation between nations more complex. Over the next 3 days, the forum will feature keynote speeches, panel discussions, and interactive sessions. Leaders and officials are also expected to hold bilateral meetings focusing on regional and global issues and exploring practical solutions to ongoing challenges. The forum brings together a diverse group of participants, including political leaders, policymakers, academics, business representatives, the media, and civil society. The aim is to foster open dialogue, exchange ideas, and develop strategies to better navigate global uncertainties. The Antalya Diplomacy Forum seeks to promote dialogue and strengthen international cooperation in an increasingly fragmented world.
It is essential to establish a fair distribution of global prosperity. And similarly, artificial intelligence should not become a new tool of hegemony that creates new inequalities in the hands of a limited number of actors. Humanity must benefit from this technological opportunity jointly. No one and no region should be left behind. In addition to all these, we must also tackle the challenges facing our future simultaneously. Climate change and drought have become an existential problem affecting every aspect of human life. It is a fact that if humanity fails to establish a common ground of sharing, responsibility, and mutual benefit today, in 10 years' time, conflicts will be far more uncontrollable and far more destructive than they are today.
In another brotherly country, Libya, our active efforts to ensure calmness and security continue. We sincerely support the territorial integrity, sovereignty, and development efforts of African countries. In Sudan, since April 2023, conflicts have been ongoing, and we stand by all diplomatic efforts to end these conflicts. In recent years, to ensure its stability and security, Somalia has taken significant steps. Our support for Somalia's territorial integrity and economic prosperity remains unwavering. As Turkey, while pursuing our foreign policy across different regions and continents, we are also strengthening our existing alliance ties. As one of the leading countries of NATO, the guarantor of the collective security of the Euro-Atlantic region, we will host the Leaders Summit in Ankara on 7th and 8th of July this year. At this summit, we hope to adopt important decisions that will carry the alliance forward with its renewed strength, and we are already laying the groundwork to this end. On this occasion, I would like to emphasize once again that as history, geography, and geopolitics repeatedly remind us, Turkey is an integral part of Europe.
Mulambo Haimbe, Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Zambia. To start, this is the second time that I'm attending this important forum. And we are at a time when, as a continent, as a globe, we are faced with unprecedented changes to the global order as we know it, as a consequence of the conflict that we have across the world, and that Africa has not been spared by that, and as a consequence of the shocks that come as a result. So this forum is important because then it looks to finding a lasting solution to some of the challenges that the globe is facing. If you listen to President Erdogan's opening remarks, they were of crucial importance. They spoke to critical issues of our times now, including why we cannot do away with dialogue as a people, as the global citizenry. You cannot do away with diplomacy. It is at the center of resolving these challenges that we have now. You will not find a solution in armed conflict. And this is part of the spirit of what we are discussing here. Over and above that, of course, we're looking at the global village now, which has changed in its entirety, where conversations based on mutual respect, where conversations based on equity and equality are taking the forefront. And this is, I believe, one of the platforms at which that can be done. This is critically important for Africa because many a time we have found ourselves without a voice. This platform gives us a voice to be heard here and beyond. It gives us an opportunity to express as a continent our views on how the world should be run and how it can be run in a way that Africa contributes effectively and validly for the mutual benefit of everybody, including ourselves as Africans. We are using this platform as a point at which we can speak as equals, come to the table and bring something to the party, as it were. But more importantly, we have critical conflicts, going back to the issue of conflict, that are on the continent, in the DRC, in Sudan, some of the worst humanitarian crises that we have. We are putting our heads together at this forum to see how we can achieve a solution to those conflicts, of course, in the broader context of conflicts on the globe. Through dialogue and diplomacy.
You mentioned that this is your second time attending this event, and I believe that a lot has changed from the first time you attended and this. What do you hope to see as the future of, Antalya Diplomacy Forum and your country's attendance, Zambia's attendance in this event?
Thank you. And perhaps another important aspect that I forgot to mention was to thank the people of Turkey, for hosting us in this very wonderful city in a way that is shows the respect, really, and the belief in the fact that we add to this conversation that we're having as delegates that come here from the African continent and beyond. It has changed quite significantly, as you've observed. There's a bigger number of participants, which then tells you that, as already mentioned in the opening remarks that were given, the forum is taking, it's branded as a global event worth attending. What would I like to see going forward? I would like to see a continuation of conversations that are solution-oriented. conversations that will have a practical outcome for the benefit of the globe and not just a talking shop. So it's very, very important. We are already there. I can tell you, as foreign minister, I attend many, many different conferences. And I can say for a fact that here we are already most of the way towards conversations that are practical, that are aimed at finding solutions for the world and for us, obviously, as a continent as well.
Thank you very much. I think this Antalya Diplomacy Forum is important. It's one of the biggest platforms for multilateralism, for diplomacy. But I think this one is much more important because it happens at a time when diplomacy is not only relevant but also very, very essential. It's an opportunity for us as countries to recalibrate, to reimagine diplomacy, but also for the world and countries to de-escalate and move back to diplomacy, back to reconsidering peaceful resolution of conflict. And we believe as Botswana, this is a cornerstone of our foreign policy. Peaceful resolution of conflict, and that is why we want always to be at a platform where this is given priority and it's discussed. But the relationship that we have with Turkey is very important. It's very important in the sense that, as I said last year when we were here, we really would like to commend Turkey for the role that they continue to play in advancing this common value of peaceful resolution of conflict and ensuring that there is peace in the world, ensuring that there is respect of the territorial integrity of countries, or sovereignty of countries. Now, at a time when there is a clear retreat from multilateralism, a clear retreat from respect and adherence to a rule-based international order, Antalya Diplomacy Forum is much more relevant. Government of Botswana, the current government of Botswana is all about implementation. We believe that we have discussed these issues for many years now. It is time for implementation, and I think forums such as the Antalya Diplomacy Forum provides an opportunity for us now to bring down the issues from a theoretical level to a practical level, and now be very clear and intentional about timelines of how then do we take the discussions now to implementation level. And I think it's an opportunity also for us to say from the beginning of the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, all that we have been discussing, all that we have been agreeing on, how much ground have we covered and achieved in terms of implementation. So we believe that it cannot be that Antalya Diplomacy Forum and other forums continue to be venues where we meet to talk about the talks that we had in the previous year. It has to be now about saying this was implemented, now how do we take it forward? I mean, I'll be taking part in a panel discussion that talks about an emerging issue of emerging economies, for example, that have to do with rare earth minerals. How do we ensure that there is policy coherence on the African continent such that we optimally benefit from these resources and ensure that there is common prosperity on the African continent? This is the vision of the President of Botswana, and it is the vision that we hope and believe that we must all embrace to ensure that at the end of the day, these challenges that we have been facing, challenges of our sons and daughters of Africa migrating to other continents for greener pastures, we must begin to have prosperity on the African continent to ensure that migration becomes an option, not an escape.
What this current crisis in the Middle East has shown is that a global energy system that is built on fossil fuels is inherently volatile and unstable. The reality is that 3 out of every 4 persons on this planet live in countries that are net importers of fossil fuels. And this includes the 1.4 billion persons in China, the 1.4 billion persons in India, the 450 million people who live in the European Union, over 1 billion people who live in least developed countries, small island developing states, and most of the continent of Africa. So when there's a geopolitical crisis or a natural disaster in one of the main fossil fuel producing regions or countries, the shocks reverberate across the global economy. It results in rising energy prices, rising food prices. It results in rising costs of pharmaceuticals. And this has knock-on impacts on inflation and the cost of living in countries. For developing countries, the shocks are even more severe because many of these countries are under severe debt distress. And when global interest rates rise, it means that they have to pay more on their debt, which means that they have less fiscal space to invest in the development priorities of countries: food, health, education, social care. So the reality is that fossil fuels leave the world more vulnerable, they leave households more vulnerable. And this is why the transition is such an important global effort. If the world is able to transition as fast and as quickly as possible, it gives countries and people autonomy over their energy future. We've been using fossil fuels for over 200 years, and we still have 800 million persons globally, 600 million persons in Africa who lack access to electricity, and over 1 billion lack access to clean cooking. So renewables offer us the opportunity not only to gain sovereignty and independence over our energy future, but to finally deliver energy access to those who have been living in the dark for centuries. So this is why the transition is such an important global effort, and this is why the United Nations continues to stand behind pushing and pushing and pushing and working to ensure that we can get a just, fair, and orderly transition.
Exactly, all right. Thank you, for explaining that in detail. Now let's talk about implementation. There are a lot of talks about, taking climate action and a lot of promises as well. Turkey this year is scheduled to host the COP31 in
Yes.
Antalya, where
Yes.
we are currently. What do you think Turkey's role is in speeding things up and in the implementation of, the talks and the promises that have been made concerning climate action?
First, it's absolutely great that a country like Turkey has decided to accept this global role. With this global role comes huge responsibility. First, leadership by example. So it's absolutely critical that we see Turkey being at the forefront of leading the energy transition. And we know that it's one of the countries where renewables are accelerating at an unprecedented pace. So leadership by example from Turkey is absolutely critical. And secondly, at the international level, we're living in very difficult times: geopolitical tensions, divisions, fragmentation. And Turkey is an extremely unique country. It has the ability, and we've seen it in the past and we see it now, of building the divide, bridging the divide between North, South, East, and West. And on this agenda, we have some very difficult issues. But the reality is that none of these issues are insurmountable. For example, on the transition, we know what the challenges are. The transition has been impeded in most parts of the developing world by finance, and in particular, the high cost of capital. If we're able to bring stakeholders together around finding solutions to the high cost of capital, this will definitely help to speed up the transition. So Turkey's international role this year as COP president is to bridge the divide on some of these very difficult issues, but not insurmountable issues.
Absolutely, you make great points there. And, thank you very much for granting us this interview. That was so sound. And thank you.
Welcome and thank you guys for what
AfroTurk
you're
TV.
doing. Thank you guys for what you're doing. You're building awareness among youth and young people. And it's absolutely great that you're doing this and that you have this energy and spirit. Continue to do this good work. And we will always be very supportive of your effort.
Food security is indeed getting a lot of attention, and this is well-deserved attention, it's rightly so. But sometimes when those conversations happens in security spaces, the foundation of food is sometimes missed or overlooked, because food systems start at land, soil health, and water. If any of those three is under strain or under pressure, then the entire system of food is fragile, less resilient, and more vulnerable to shocks, including geopolitical shocks, etc., and reduction in fertilizers, etc. And this is why we see at UNCCD that this year, 2026, is a very important year, because this is a year where the three COPs of the three Rio Conventions, the Convention on Land Degradation and Desertification, the Convention on Biological Biodiversity, and the Convention on Climate Change, will happen together after each other in 2026. This will start with the UNCCD COP happening in Mongolia in August. It will be followed by the CBD COP happening in Armenia in October. And finally, countries will come together here in Antalya for the climate COP. And we see that this is a very important moment for the conversation on alignment and synergies between the three agendas, with food security and food systems as a central element in those conversations. I'll explain to you what does that mean. That means that if we restore our lands, we improve the health of our soil, and this means that not only do we produce food more reliably, but we also adapt better to climate change, and we also protect nature, all at the same time. So this is why, for us, this is an opportune moment to have this discussion on synergies with food security and food systems at the center. Turkey has a real opportunity to move this conversation that we're talking about, the conversation on synergies and the conversation on food security and food systems, from a discussion to the implementation space. Firstly, by encouraging countries to develop integrated national plans that address the three issues together. So the issues of land degradation, the issues of climate, and the issues of biodiversity. And second, by supporting those projects on the ground that address those three issues together in an integrated way. And third, of course, by placing land restoration, and food systems and food security as a central element and as a pillar in the climate action agenda. So as I said, we see this year as a very important year for the conversation on synergies and food security, and we see that a lot of progress could happen this year.
What has the Antalya Diplomacy Forum 2026 been like for you so far? Did it meet your expectations, and were you satisfied with the panels that have gone on from the beginning of today?
Thank you very much. I'm so honored and pleased to talk with AfroTurk. As we say, Afro it means African, isn't it? Honestly, I'm so happy to be one of the participants of this Antalya Diplomacy Forum. It was a fruitful discussion since morning and now evening when President of the Republic of Türkiye, His Excellency Erdogan, has opened officially the forum, which will take 3 days from today to Sunday. So in the morning we have discussed many issues concerning about Africa, especially in West Africa, about the development of security in Africa and the world at large. So for me, this is a very important thing. When we talk about security, we mean to protect our territories, but to maintain peace. Peace is among of the what we say security. When we secure peace, the world can be in good place for everybody to live in peaceful. As we witness nowadays what is going on in the world, especially in the Middle East, it is not making us happy. We feel the same as those who are the victim of such violence, what is going on. So through this forum, I think many issues will be discussed and we'll have the solution on how to solve this problem to make the world better for everyone in terms of cooperation, diplomatically, business, economy, and political level. Because when we stabilize the political system in every country in the world, everything will flow smoothly. Because politics is the tool that leads or chain things to move. As I am among the journalists, the international journalists from Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation, and I know well that media is powerful, information is powerful. Media can lead the world to live peaceful. Media can ruin the world to cause problems. Like we see sometimes some of media in the world, they just create information which lead to violence. But some of them, they protect the world. They show the good way of people how to live. They give proper information to people how to live. But sometimes media is just like a whistleblower. We take information from the scratch. We raise the information. We give the light to the leaders on how to behave.
You're welcome to AfroTurk TV.
Thank you.
We'd like to understand what the African Culture House's role is in the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, and why is it so important that African and Africa is represented here today?
Sayın hanımefendi, Afrika açılımıyla birlikte Cumhurbaşkanımızın 2005 yılında Afrika yılı ilan etmesiyle birlikte birçok Afrika ülkesine gitmişti ve orada üretici kadınları görüyordu. Üretici kadınlar üretebildiklerini fakat bunları bir pazarda, adil bir pazarda satamadıklarından bahsediyordu. Hanımefendi bunun üzerine birçok Afrika ülkesinden sonra Afrika Kültür Evi'ni kurmaya karar verdi. Bu tabii ki ikili ilişkilere dostane bir yaklaşımdı. Aynı zamanda da bir köprü vazifesi gördü. Hem kadınlarla hem oranın halklarıyla hem de bizlerle yakın olmak isteyen insanlarla da daha güzel ilişkiler kurmamıza vesile oldu. Neden buradayız peki? Antalya Diplomacy Forumu artık bir imza niteliğinde açıkçası ve dünyanın dört bir tarafından kişiler burayı ziyarete geliyor ve burada da yine konjonktürel olarak önemli konulara değiniyorlar. Bu konulardan en önemlileri de Afrika ile ilgili elbette ve biz bu eşit ilişki biçiminden çok memnunuz. Buraya gelerek Afrika Kültür Evi'ni de Sayın Hanımefendinin bu kuruluşunda hem burada göstermek hem de Afrikalı misafirlerimize de tanıtmak istiyoruz.
Mr. Minister, thank you for your speech. My name is Mercy Bamigbola, and I'm Nigerian. I work for the only Turkish channel that broadcasts to 49 African countries. My question will be on crisis diplomacy and mediation. Turkey has positioned itself as a mediator in global conflict. Do you see a larger role for Turkey in conflict resolution across Africa? And are there specific regions where Ankara is currently seeking to play a more active diplomatic role? Thank you.
Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you.
Diğer bölgelerde oynamaya çalıştığımız rolü tabii ki
The role that we try to have is similar to the role that we try to have in Africa as well, of course. Especially on ending conflicts and helping and contributing all the support towards counterterrorism, especially in security issues that the nations have there. Economic cooperation and other means of cooperations already exist with the countries in Africa, but ending conflict and counterterrorism, the sources for instability, two root causes of instability in the region. These are the problems that we try to solve by contributing to the nations, and we provided support to Somalia. We also have cooperation with Nigeria in a similar manner as well. It is needed for the stability of the region, and other countries also have similar problems. Well, our role of mediation between Ethiopia and Somalia, under the auspices of our president, was important, and also unification efforts in Libya is supported by Turkey. Civil war in Sudan, in order to stop the civil war in Sudan, we also try to contribute as much as possible. The problems between Rwanda and Congo is also monitored by us. There are also a couple more conflicts that I don't want to mention. We also monitor them closely. So Africa was never out of our radar in that manner.